Hello YouTube. In my first ever video that I'm planning to post, I want to bring you something that I know not a lot of people will want to watch or be interested, but I think the few that will enjoy it a lot, and I think I will enjoy posting and filming this, will be a review of that thing. Not the Goose. The Goose does not count. But that silver thing out there, which is my 2006 Lincoln Town Car Signature Limited, that I purchased this past December. As a matter of fact, December 24th. Look at this thing. This thing is hissing at me. Sorry, a little sidetrack, but you know, you don't have a goose hissing at you every day. Anyway, so 2006 Lincoln Town Car Signature Limited that I purchased December 24th of 2019. As a little gift for myself. Now, I always been a fan of land yachts. This would be the Lincolns, the Cadillacs, the Chryslers to a certain extent, but pretty much large, old style, old school American vehicles. And I think this is a prime example of when anybody thinks a land yacht, that's a bit more modern than, you know, something from the 60s, 70s, or 80s, or even 90s to a certain extent. So I went ahead and I traded in a 2013 Hyundai Elantra that we had since new. And I decided to splurge on this 2006 Lincoln Town Car Signature Limited with, I think at that time it had 89,000 miles. Currently it has about 93 some thousand miles, and I enjoy it very much. A lot better than that Hyundai Elantra that, although it was much newer, much more modern, and much better on the gas. But this is it. So I will tell you a bit about it. I'll show you the outside, the inside. I'll try not to copy some of the other YouTubers who I'm sure many people watch, including myself, so I'll try to stay away from, you know, the key catchphrases that they use, since I'm new to this and just doing this more for fun. So this Lincoln, what can I tell you about it? Well, it's an 06. It's the last big like iteration of this vehicle, and I'm not going to try and recall any sort of engine displacements and the wheelbase or anything of that sort. All I'll do is, I'm just your average user of a vehicle. I mean, I drive it every day. I will just tell you about it. So first of all, why did I buy this? Well, you already know I love these vehicles. I worked in a car rental place for many years, and we had these vehicles. We were getting them always in black. We were getting them always just the signature trim, so the base trim for that time. We were always getting them for probably 20 to 30,000 miles and getting rid of them. And I drove a whole lot of them and kind of fell in love, but never really was in a position to actually own one. So now that I do, I can tell you that the styling, it's pretty basic. It's not anything fancy, no fancy curves, no nothing. It's simple, I think elegant design. Probably not going to win any awards, especially since these things were in every airport, and some of them still are, and there's still plenty of limos driving around that were converted from these. I think it looks nice. It looks simple. It looks elegant. It's definitely not sporty, and I love how it looks. It does have a certain presence. Now, focusing here on the front, I do love the grille. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big fan of the grille. The headlights are fine too. I wish it had fog lights. I know some of the older models, I think the Cartier from before 06, I think by 06, Cartiers were discontinued. But I do love this big chrome grille. When I bought it, the previous owner put some blackout electrical tape and kind of made it look like something that it shouldn't have never been on there. So the first thing I did was I ripped it off. And yeah, just washed it. Not today. Actually, all of the car washes are closed. I did want to wash it for this video, but as you can see, I'm filming it at a very post-apocalyptic looking strip mall that it's been dead long before this virus ever came about. But yeah, out of this whole strip mall, there's one trampoline place over there, but it's actually closed. So can get a car wash. So I did a quick little cleanup for this video, so including this grill. There were some bugs on there, but yeah, I personally love it. I love the whole thing about you have an emblem and you have a hood ornament. Now, I'm a big fan of the hood ornament. I know it's a safety thing on a modern cars, but this one is, you all who are watching it probably already knows. You know, it can fold away, so unless you land on it perfectly straight where it can do some damage to you, any sort of impact will make it go flat, and then as soon as you let go, it bounces back up, and it prevents people from hopefully stealing it, although I'm sure you can break it off here at the base, which I hope nobody will for this vehicle. Yeah, so no fog lights here, although this was the top of the line trim for 06 for standard wheelbase. There was a long wheelbase for the limo companies, but this is a standard wheelbase, so does not have the fog lights, and I think by 06 they were, I don't believe they were even offered. Here you have the wheels. Now, if this video does well, I will probably do another video about, like, you know, everything wrong with everything that could go wrong with the Lincoln Town Car, or what I've experienced. But for now, I'm just going to do a quick overview. I mean, the wheels are fine, nothing flashy, nothing major. These are stock wheels. These were not optional. I think they were optional chromes at this vehicle at some point. What do you got? You got the door handles from probably from a refrigerator from 1950s. They were used a lot. They were pretty much all the Lincoln Town Cars from, I think, in 03 forward used these, and probably even before that. So yeah, they look weird now, but they function just fine. So you got, you know, further down, I guess I didn't do a very good job wiping down there. My apologies. The rear. This car has a big rear. I do love that on the previous years for this, the previous version of this car, they did used to have little Lincoln emblems right in here. They stopped that, but they do have an emblem right here. Do have Lincoln, and they do have a town car. And I did have to glue a couple of these letters back because they were trying to fall off. So now I have a full complement of letters. At first, when you approach it, it doesn't look like there's any exhaust pipes, but there are. They are just tucked in right underneath. You can see them from this angle, and there's a second one over there. They're made to look sleek. There is nothing that shows up. I hope nobody tries to put a giant exhaust on this car. I'm sure you can do it, but it would just look silly. So I do like to keep the car stock, so I don't have any sort of modification to it. This is exactly how it went. You will notice a little bit different color on the quarter panel versus, actually on both quarter panels versus the rest of the vehicle. This is because I did some repair work and for rust, and once again I can talk about it in more details at a later videos. But they did not do a very good color matching, but they also didn't charge me an arm and a leg for it, so that's why it's different color a little bit. I got the keypad. I love this keypad simply because it allows me to lock the keys inside and just press a code, and I can open the trunk, I can open one door or all doors, unlock it. So it's a very nice feature. I have not had this feature on any car, and I've owned a fair share number, even including much more recent vehicles. I don't know why only Ford does this. I don't know if they have a patent on it, but I wish more car manufacturers would do that. So this is the outside of it. Once again, I'm going to try to do kind of an outside shot here. In general, I think it looks awesome for what it is. Just a big luxury boat. You know, couch on wheels, grandma, grandpa car, whatever it is that people like to call these things. I personally don't care. I love For What It's Worth, which is a very big, a bit thirsty, but very nice cruising vehicle. And for someone who commutes 60 miles round trip every day, well, when we have to report to the office, that is, on the highway, there's nothing like it. So here's a bit of a walk around. This particular one does have an optional sunroof, which I am very thankful for. I use it, as you can see, I have it popped open right now. And all right, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna think about what to show you next. All right, so I decided to show you the trunk first. I think it's more impressive than the hood, but the hood will be next, or under the hood. So I want to show you the key. So this is a standard key that I did get from the dealership. I did get 2 of these and 2 remotes. I did not get a valet key, but the valet keys I believe are a slightly different color. And got this remote. Now this remote has been in Ford's, sorry, it goes in and out of focus. There you go. This remote is basically the same remote that Ford used in just about everything. From this era and much earlier than this and much later than this. Explorers had it, Lincolns had it, Mercury had it, pretty much every Ford had it, from the most expensive Ford to the cheapest Ford that came with this remote, and thankfully I do have 2 of them. And it's, again, very basic key, very basic remote. I believe this is a chipped key, if I'm not mistaken, and there's some tricks about programming it if you want to cut it, outside the dealership. But as far as the remote goes, yeah, very basic. You have the lock and unlock, you have the panic, and you have this blue button for the trunk. So press it twice, and this happens. So this is an automatic trunk. I believe this was an option on the Signature Limited. I don't believe it came standard on the Signature trim of this vehicle. I don't think any of the livery vehicles came with this, but basically, yeah, you double press the button, the trunk rears open, and we have the trunk. Now, I do have some leftover windshield de-icer spray that I think I went a little too much beast mode and bought a bunch, but we had a mild winter, so I didn't end up using a whole lot. But yeah, the trunk is ginormous. Definitely one of the biggest sedan trunks. I used to own a 2010 Buick LaCrosse, which is a fairly large vehicle, but yeah, nowhere near the size of this one. Bought a few interesting things. When I bought this car, it did not have any sort of trunk organizer or a liner or a carpet. Well, I mean, it has this really cheap looking material here, which worn out a little over the years, but I do try to keep it clean. And I bought this very generic rubberized floor mat type of deal, which I could have cut it to make it fit. As you can see, it came with these grooves where it allows users to cut it to size, but I figured, hey, you know what, it fits pretty well. If I trim it a little, it's not going to change anything. It's going to just be extra effort for no reason. So I left it, if anything, if these ever leak or something, it's very easily wipeable and vacuumable, and you can just dump things out of here. Came with this shelf. So I know there's many different cars, and I obviously don't know them all, but I've never seen a shelf inside of a trunk outside like these vehicles. It's got my bag with tools, nothing major. Some extra foam. I have some plans for this foam for seats, but I will leave it here for now. I got some snow brushes in there. Once again, it's not every day you can have a full size. Well, it's not a. I don't think it's a full size spare, but it's not every day you can have a spare tire just like this. And I got the jack and the tools and everything. I think it was used probably by a previous owner at some point, because the thread is pretty low and it does look used. But beyond that, there's something from Ford, some sort of a sticker there. But it's not every car where you can have a spare just sitting there, and if you don't know it's there, I mean, yeah, you can kind of see that it's got more space on this side than on this side, but really, I mean, it does not intrude on the trunk space. And I think it has 21 cubic feet of trunk space, which you can compare with some of modern, probably compact SUVs, I have to assume. But anyway, first sedan, giant trunk. On here, oh, and then the net, this car did not come with a net. I don't know if these were optional or not, but I just bought on Amazon a very cheap net. Dropped it in here, and I got an air pump in there too. And yeah, it fits perfectly well, holds all the stuff, because obviously things will fly around. I know that these cars came as an optional trunk organizer. I want to say that these lines indicate that maybe at some point the previous owner, I think I'm the fourth owner of this vehicle based on Carfax, but maybe one of the owners did have some sort of a cargo organizer, and that's what left these marks. Not quite sure, but I tried getting one of those, but somebody who manufactures these or like hand makes these things right now, they want like $250 for one of these trunk organizers that fit here, kind of makes the floor flat. Not really interested in that, so that's why I went with the cheaper version, the $12 cargo net, I believe, from Amazon. But yeah, maybe someday I will. Now over here, interesting thing, you know, so this car does have an air ride suspension, which basically automatically lifts and lowers the car as it glides around and kind of compensates for the imperfections of the road, which you can kind of see even on this plaza. There's plenty of potholes and everything else, and somebody did a burnout over here. So this air ride suspension, it's always designed to keep the car leveled at any speed. And the idea here is that if you're gonna work on this car and you're gonna lift it, the sensors inside will try to balance itself out, and if it's on jack stands or if it's on a jack or lifted in any way, it'll start messing itself up because it'll keep readjusting and something might blow. So the switch is there, and hopefully all of the mechanics who work on these vehicles know, or at least remember, that this thing's supposed to be in the off position, and then that will turn off the air pumps that are inside each shock. I keep it on. It does have the smoothest suspension of any car I've ever driven, and I've driven and owned a fair share number of cars. I tell you, that's one of the reasons, one of the main reasons why I bought it. The ride itself is amazing. Cannot go wrong with this. Now this thing on top of this, I did not so I knew about this from my car rental days. I did not know about this. So where is this thing? Oh, it's right in here. See this little red button. Now I'm not gonna press it right now because here's what it does. It's a fuel pump shut-off switch. Refer to the owner's guide for reset instructions. Now I read about it in the owner's manual. I did not know about this prior to owning this vehicle, but the idea is if somebody re-rents you or there's any sort of a fuel leak, which I mean, I know the fuel tanks are underneath somewhere in the trunkish, I guess maybe in like in this area where the shelf is. But you're supposed to, so if you're in there, ever somebody re-rents you, you're supposed to run out, open your trunk, press this button to shut your fuel pump off in case if there's a fuel leak. Now, I understand the idea for it, but at the same time, who in their right mind is going to remember to do that during an accident? I don't know. Maybe it's designed for the emergency people who come to your help. But once again, I think in a rush of things, I don't think anybody's going to remember that. Maybe if the other person is another Lincoln Town Car owner, maybe they will think about doing that. But once again, I mean, I don't plan on ever pressing that button and hopefully never have a reason to. So this is the trunk. Now the motor for operating the power trunk is right here. Behind this pretty flimsy cover here, trunk lining material. I don't really know how it works, but obviously it raises and lowers this. I don't want to rip off this material, so I'm just going to leave it alone. But thankful for this 14-year-old car, it still works. So I'm going to double press this button and watch it whirve itself back down and latching itself in. So now you don't have to use the power button. There is a key slot somewhere in here, which you can just put a key in. Obviously, it disengages the power mechanism, so you can obviously do this yourself. But the beauty of this is that And once again, there's a few things here which I can cover in another video as far as like what sucks about this, about the quality and some of the other issues. But the beauty of the features are here is that if you soft close it, it'll shut itself down, so it makes it, you know, nice, so you don't have to slam the trunk. It's pretty seamless. All right, so that is the trunk. All right, so the next thing I wanted to show everyone is under the hood. So I'm gonna open this, gonna pull on this, and I'm gonna close it. So this is the interesting part, which I don't think I've ever seen in any car, but you have, when you pull the release, you'll have this thing happen. So this thing basically shoots from between the slots in the grill. I know somebody else made a joke about it, about it looks like somebody stabbed the car, which, yeah, you can kind of see the shape of it does look like a knife. But anyway, you have a handy thing to pick up, and I'm gonna try to do this one hand. And although it's not intended to be used as a handle, I'm sure plenty of people use it, but this is like the latch mechanism. I think it is extremely overcomplicated. But basically, you pull on this handle from the outside and it releases the actual latch. Now, is this really necessary to have this entire contraption in here? No, it is not. Oh, and by the way, here's the spring from the hood ornament. Let me try and focus it on. So when I pull on the hood ornament here, this spring compresses. Now also, if anybody ever breaks off or actually steals the hood ornament, you can actually replace it by releasing this nut over here and, you know, putting a new one in. So yeah, all right, anyway, so as you can kind of see, I'm going to step away. So that's how it looks with the hood up. And I'm sorry about the ducks and the geeses that are flying around all over the place, but this is how it looks with the hood up. Now, if you ever looked underneath a hood of a Crown Victoria or a Grand Marquis or another Lincoln Town Car, this will look very similar, because all these vehicles, they are pretty much the same, just the trim pieces are different. So you have a 4.6 liter V8. I believe they used to make this V8 much better quality with black surround and the chrome, but I think for the 06 going forward, they stopped chroming the V8 logo. But you have, you know, an engine that is very old, even by 2006 standard. It only makes 239 horsepower. I don't remember the torque, but the torque is it's right around the 200 something. It's, again, I'm sure Wikipedia can help. I'm not a mechanic, so don't really remember. But the bottom line is, so this engine, with all of its size and might and power, only makes 239 horsepower for a vehicle that weighs, like, I don't know, a lot. I can show on a sticker, it shows the weight of this thing. So this engine, you know, I mean, everybody knows that it's a tried and true V8. Ford used it for many years and in many different vehicles, and it dates back, I don't know, probably, if this is an 06, probably another 8 to 10 years probably before that. Once again, please look it up on Wikipedia if you're interested in this. I'm personally not, but it pulls this car just fine. And it's not a sporty engine, although it has some Mustang beginnings, but it's not going to win any races. You know, it's a rear-wheel drive vehicle. You're not going to be racing anybody other than maybe another Lincoln Town Car. But basically, sorry, I received a phone call. So, yeah, so basically, you know, it requires your very basic maintenance. You have your steering fluid, power steering. You have your coolant. Well, that's obviously the battery. Windshield washer fluid. Oil filler. You have your transmission fluid. Dipstick is right back there. Not the most convenient place. You have air filter housing. You have regular engine oil and brake fluid. I think this is a computer component which you don't really have to do anything. Yeah, so this is it. Headlights right here. The entire grille lifts. And then this down here is the remainder of this which I think overly complicated latch mechanism from up here. So I'm going to shut this off and we'll probably move to the interior. And then once you lower it, this thing is going to shoot back. There you go. Okay. So, moving. Oh, well, maybe the wheels. The wheels are fine. They're nothing special. I think they're 17-inch. I did inherit relatively beefy Michelin tires. Once again, thank you previous owner who did not abuse them or at least change them, or maybe the dealership changed them before I bought the car.